Okay, Year 10. Now we're moving on to graphing straight lines using the intercept gradient formula or gradient intercept formula or form. So as you can tell, we've been graphing straight lines by plotting points. And what we want to be able to do is get to a situation where we can look at the equation of the line, find the gradient, find the y-intercept, realize what both of those things are, and then graph them. So if we now look at this, if we write an equation as y equals something x plus something. Now it doesn't matter what those somethings are, but this thing in front of the x, the coefficient, tells us the gradient of the line. And this tells us what the y-intercept is. And if you can get that straight away, you can graph these things. Now, next year, you are going to see that equation, and that is not going to be the letter B, it's going to be the letter C. It doesn't matter what letter you put in there. It just means that whatever it is, that's what it represents, the y-intercept. So we're going to have a look at that. So let's take a nice easy example. Let's take y equals 2x plus 1. Okay. Well, this tells me I have a gradient of 2. And this tells me the y-intercept is 1. And how does that help me graph this equation? Oh, I'm actually going to get rid of that. I'm going to go here and insert one of those, which means that this tells me where it crosses the y-axis. So remember, the y-axis is here and the x-axis is here, which means it's going to go through 1. And it has a gradient of 2. Now, this is a positive gradient. Now, if I have a gradient of 1, that's 45 degrees. If I have a gradient of 2, it gets steeper. I can't tell you exactly what the angle is. I could, but it means that it's going to get steeper. So I'm going to get a straight line going through that point there at a reasonable steepness. And there, I've drawn the graph of y equals 2x plus 1. The key is now, and because it doesn't have to be to scale, as long as it's reasonably close, is if I can work out that point there. Now, there's a little trick to working out that point there, and I'm going to go through it now. And if you can work this out, you're very good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two ways. Now, first of all, you know it's going to be a negative number. Look, it's on the negative side of the line. But watch, I'm going to show you how to do it. To find that point, to find the x-intercept, where it cuts the x-axis, you just let y equals 0 and solve the equation. Well, what was the equation? It's up above. So y equals 2x plus 1. Let's let the y equal 0, and I get 2x plus 1. Well, I'm going to minus the 1. So minus 1 equals 2x. And then I'm going to divide by the 2. And I'm going to get minus a half equals x. And I look over here and go, well, that looks about right, minus a half. There is an easier way. If you look at the equation and it's written in the form y equals something x plus something to find the x-intercept, change the sign of that and divide by that. Oh, -1/2. And there it is. But it must be written in the form something x plus something. Should be getting used to referring to that as a c. I'm going to refer to that as a c from now on because that's the way we do it. Now, we do it in senior mathematics. And as you can see here, they've done the same thing. It doesn't matter what is in front of that x, as long as it's y equals. So I've said for today's work, or the work, we have to do questions, and I'm just checking on my other computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's have a look at these questions. I'm not going to do them all. You have a go at it. You write down your notes. All right. You can write or read their notes, but you can just have that. As long as you have this, that will do for your notes. All right. So let's have a look at these. Question 1. Y equals mx plus b. Well, that is pretty easy. It's called and I'm going to make this really big so I can fit it in, the gradient intercept form of a straight line. The symbol m stands for the gradient. In the equation, the gradient m is now I'm not going to fit this in there, so I'm going to draw an arrow, the coefficient. Remember, that's a word we give to the number in front of a pronumeral. And the symbol b, but be aware we're going to be using c from now on, stands for the y-intercept, because remember there is an x-intercept. All right, there's question 1. Now you could write that as your notes, or you can just have what we wrote up above. Now, question 2. Oh, if this goes back to the start, I'm going to hate this. It's been doing this to me for ages. What exercise are we up to? Please don't. Exercise 6C. So for some reason, whenever I resize it, it goes crazy and takes me to another point somewhere in OneNote. So I'm going along here. I'm just going to put my other computer on mute. Okay, there we go. There we go. We've already talked about the gradient intercept if you watch a previous video. Okay, here we go. Come on. What are we going to? F. Come on. Please don't resize on me again. Here we go. 6G. We're looking at question 2. Please don't. Whoa. So, I'm not going to do them all. You have a go at them. So here's 2A. And what do we want to find? We want to find the gradient. So I'm just going to use a letter. The gradient in the first one, that's the number in front of the x. 2. And the y-intercept, I'm going to use C, is 4. I'm going to jump to C now. You have a go at B on your own. And the next one in C that I'm doing, the gradient is whatever's in front of the x, -2/3. And the y-intercept is whatever is at the back, 7. I want to do E. You do the ones in between. The gradient is whatever's in front of the x, 3/5. And the y-intercept, now you've got to be careful here. Some of you will think that it's 8. It's -8. If there's a minus sign there, you must include it. And if you're thinking, well, why didn't you include it in the 7? I could have put the plus sign there, but I don't need to. You don't need to put a plus sign when you're writing a positive number. Everyone assumes it is. So when you did B, you should have got -7. I'm going to let you do F on your own. in question 3. Now, this is the important part. So I'm going to do some of these. I'm going to do some that have a negative gradient, and I need a negative y-intercept. So I'm going to do A. It's pretty easy. And then I'm going to do C and E, and you have a go at B, D, and F on your own. You should be able to do these on your own. I'd stop the video and see if you can do them by yourself. So over here, I'm going to get myself 3 of these. 1, 2, I'll get the third one. 3. Now, I'm going to use a bit of colour here. The first one, y equals 2x plus 3. Now, whenever you draw an axis, it's important that you label the x and y axis. Then you write the equation of the line, y equals 2x plus 3. So, what do I know about this? It's going to go through 3. So I'm just going to mark off a spot about where 3 is. Actually, get rid of that. I'll try and be a bit more accurate. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3. It's going to go through 3. This number is positive, which means the line's going up like that. And 2, because it's a reasonably big number, tells me it's reasonably steep. So I'm going to draw a line. Actually, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to have an arrow on either end. It's going to go like that. Oh! I'll do it again. I thought I had it perfect before. So here we go. Oh, that's too steep. I want to try and make it reasonable. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay. Now, if you did that, if you just went bang, away I go. I've got it going through 3. It's a positive gradient, reasonably steep. But if you wanted full marks, you'd have to find this point. Now remember my trick. Change the sign of that, -3, and divide by that, 2. Now I'm happy for you to leave it as -3/2, or you could write it as -1.5. And that's where that goes over. The other way, I'm only going to do this once from now on, is to let y equals 0. And watch what happens. I get an equation. 0 equals 2x plus 3. I minus the 3 to get rid of it. And I divide by the 2. And I magically get this x-intercept. So that was question 3a. Was it 3a? I don't want to resize this because I'll lose it. 3a. You do 3b. See how you go. I'm going to do 3c. Remember, you can use decimals. Now this is y equals x plus 4. So I label my axes, y, x. I write the equation, y equals x plus 4. Straight away, you know there's a 1 in front of that. So it's a positive gradient, which means it's going up, but it's not so steep, and a y-intercept of 4. So I go and write 1, 2, 3, 4. And this time it's not as steep. So I haven't got much room here. That'll do. And there's the equation of that line. So I know that that's 4, but what's this point down here? Now, by the way, if you've drawn that, you are good. You've got 2 out of 3. Well, remember, change the sign of that, -4, and divide by that, 1. And that equals -4. So if you get that point as -4, and by the way, you can do that on your calculator, you're away. The last one I want to do, -5x minus 7. And I might want to move this, if I can. I can't move it. It's going to be hard to do this one here because it's so close to the other one. Label your axes, y and x. Write the equation, y equals minus 5x minus 7. Straight away, I see it's got a negative gradient, so it's going down. But it's going down really steeply. So this is going to be very steep. -5, it's a big number. Also, it's going through -7. So I'm using a different scale. I'm going to say -7, it's going through there. I know this graph is going down, and I know it's really steep. So let's go something like that. That'll do. Now, what's this point here? Oh, change the sign of that. Okay, so that's +7 and divide by that, -5. Now, if you did that on your calculator, you get -1 2/5. But I'd be happy if you wrote -7 on 5. I don't mind improper fractions for these. Please don't go back. Okay. That's question 3. If you can do that, you are away. Take your time with this. Make sure that you get that. If you're having problems, send me an email. I'll do some more. Question 4. Now, surprisingly, these are a lot easier. So I'm only going to do 3 of these. I might do 4. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's get a couple of these in. 1. 2. Let's start with 3 and see how we go. Right. I might do 2 of them on the same one. The first one, so 4a, y equals 3x plus 0. Oh, hold on. There's no plus 0. I'm writing that in for a purpose. Because there's nothing there, your y-intercept is 0. This is a 3, so the gradient is steep, and it's going up because it's positive. Remember, if it's positive, it goes up left to right. So this is a steep line going through 0, 0. Oh. Let's try that again. That'll do. Oops. Forgot to label y and x. I'm going to do C. Y equals -2x plus 0. You don't need to write the plus 0. You go, all right, y-intercept, 0. Negative gradient, and it's pretty steep going down. Okay, so it's going to be a straight line going through 0, 0, and it's pretty steep going down. There we go. Label your axes. Finally, I'm going to do two of these on the same graph. I'll do E and G. So I'm going to do E and G on here. E is y equals -2. Well, again, this is a straight line, and it's going through -2. So, oops. And it's just going horizontal. It's always -2. That's it. That's y equals -2. If I do G, x equals 5. Oh, hold on. Mr. Tonkin, you've put that at +2. Yes, you're right. Don't fall for that trap. -2 is down here. Maybe I should have drawn the line first. And there it is. There's y equals -2. Now, the next one is x equals 5. So x equals 5, well, I'm going to draw the line first this time so I don't stuff it up. It's positive, so let's say +5. It's along here somewhere. I'm going to draw that up. It's a straight line, straight up. Oh no. Go along here. Let's make that a bit bigger. And that is at +5. And there's x equals +5. So when you have y equals or x equals, if they're y equals, they're just going horizontally. If they're x equals, they're just going vertically. So if you are able to do 3 and 4, you've got a pretty good handle on everything. But please make sure you've got good notes. Up here when you're writing this, remember positive gradient is up, left to right. Means the line's going up, left to right. And a negative gradient is going down, left to right. That means as we look at it going across the page from left to right. Okay, hopefully you'll be okay with that. Make sure you get all those questions done.